Advocate Evans Ogada is with the University of Nairobi and is the managing editor of the Platform for Law, Justice and Society. He joins us now via Zoom. Thanks so much indeed for joining us. Always good to talk to you. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Peter.
All right, so what Raila Odinga is doing in many respects is unprecedented in Kenya to overturn an election. And I think across the continent, I can only remember it happening in Malawi. So the odds are really stacked against him turning around this result.
Well, viewers should remember that the Kenyan Supreme Court did overturn the presidential election in 2017. So it will not be per se correct to say that it will be unprecedented. It has happened in Kenya. In fact, Kenya led the way for Malawi, and the Malawi decision more or less was in line with what the Kenyan court did.
All right. So, but is there a huge hurdle for him to overcome in this round? Because a lot of people were saying that this was the most transparent election.
Well, it is a huge ask. Yes, it is a huge ask on his part. I don't know if you can hear me. It's a huge ask on his part because he not only has to present his evidence, but he has to hope that the evidence he presents to the court will convince the court that the allegations he raises are able to qualitatively and quantitatively overturn the election. What do I mean? That the number of votes Mr. Odinga and other petitioners are impeaching, that these votes are significant enough to overturn the election. And let's make also clear that it's not only Mr. Odinga's petition that will be examined. We have 8 other petitions, worthy petitions that raise fundamental legal points. So cumulatively, these petitions will be looked at alongside each other.
Will it be a consideration for the court when they find out that the majority of commissioners didn't endorse the announcement?
Well, it is certainly a legal and constitutional question, because we have a decision by the Court of Appeal here, which was endorsed by the Supreme Court, the minor KI case, which said that the chairperson of the Independent Electoral Commission cannot act as an individual, that he has to rely on 290 returning officers for each constituencies, the constituencies in the Republic, to give him results. And those results will be final and not alterable. So the logic of that is that the chairperson of the IEBC should ideally rely on what he is given from the constituencies, and then he proceeds to announce. Mr. Odinga is asking questions about the final announcement procedures by the IEBC chair.
He also talks about 50% plus 1. How do we interpret that? Does that mean 51% or over 50%?
That has been dealt with by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court, interpreting Article 138 of the Kenyan Constitution, read that requirement to be 50% plus 1 vote. So the threshold should be attainment of 50% plus 1 extra vote.
All right. So typically, how long do they take to adjudicate a matter like this?
Well, I don't envy these judges. They have the difficult task of deciding on this matter within 14 days of today. So the timelines start counting from today, and they have exactly 14 days from today to hear and determine the issue. That is according to Article 140 of the Constitution.
And the president-elect cannot be inaugurated until a decision has been made.
Yes, everything stops until, so to speak, the fat lady sings. We have to wait for the good judges of the Supreme Court, who have a very difficult task to hear and determine these 9 petitions, the volume of material, the volume of pages they have to read. Absolutely crazy. I don't envy them.
I'm trying to understand. Apparently, the votes you could add up as they were being posted outside the electoral centres around the country. Surely it's a simple mathematical exercise that those tallies should tie up with the final result that's given. There should be no room for malfeasance.
Well, that should be the ideal situation. But if a read of Mr. Odinga's petition and a couple of other petitions that have been filed alongside him raise serious criminal allegations. We have allegations of hacking and manipulating data, and if these are sustained, we are going to have a problem. They have an affidavit from an election audit specialist who makes very damning allegations about the electoral process. So let's wait and see if the court will agree with what they are trying to say.
What are your fears in the background about how people may react if, after hearing the evidence, this result isn't overturned or is overturned?
Well, if the judges handle it well, and I will really hope that these judges don't become overly restrictive and overly textualist, that they be broad-minded and conduct the affairs of the trial well, then I think Kenyans will be able to receive what the court says well. But if the court does not handle this, because the country is only calm now because they are waiting to hear from the court. If the court does not handle this well and the country is watching, then I cannot predict what will happen. Remember, we have had unfortunate instances of post-election violence before. It's all in the hands of these judges. There? Let's hope they do the correct thing.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah, I suppose whilst there has been a decision, 2017, in many respects, this is slightly different, given that we have a sitting president who endorsed an opposition candidate. Has he spoken since the election results was announced?
Not publicly. President Uhuru Kenyatta, who continues to be president according to the constitution and the law, has said very little, actually nothing at all, since the declaration of results by the chair of the IEBC.